Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night. It is time for Revolutionary Change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Today was a dog food cook day, so Lou's running around very happy. She smells. She smells. She smells. It's a cook day.
So what does she get? So what does she get in her amazing feast?
Well, I have this method that I do, but it's lamb. She gets it's ground. She loves lamb, so it's ground lamb. It's got zucchini, yellow squash, and pearled barley, and a little bit of olive oil. And that's the Lou food for the week.
Well, that almost sounds like something that I could eat.
Reese has eaten her food before.
Oh, well, listen.
Because he'll just want the protein. Like he doesn't care. You know, Reese doesn't care. He's like, how many calories, how much protein?
How many grams of protein? How many?
Right.
Carbs?
He doesn't care if and he's like, but yeah. I mean, I would eat it if I ate meat. It's not like I don't like dealing with it because I don't like touching the meat and stuff. But yeah.
No, I don't blame you. But dogs got to eat what they got to eat.
That's why I cook for this dog.
Guys, as you have probably observed, our channel has been getting heavily, and I mean heavily, suppressed to the point where it's actually kind of pathetic to the extent that they want to try to bury us in the corner. So the only thing we ask of you is to please smash that like button. The more we bounce it, the more we can potentially beat the algorithm. Our OG, Chris Garrett, from the very beginning of our show's incarnation, understands the assignment. So if you all can follow suit, that would be tremendously appreciated.
All right, I got our list because I got on here and there was a whole bunch of stuff in there that we're not talking about tonight. So I had Colin take rid of those things.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. And so I wasn't sure. We didn't talk about what order we wanted to go in. We didn't really.
We have to start with the Democrats. We talked about that.
Okay. So are you talking about redistricting CalCare story, or are you talking about the geriatric DNC that we're running?
Well,
there's a couple stories.
It's all one and the same, because at the end of the day, this is not I really want people to understand something, if they don't already know this, about the Democratic Party establishment. Every once in a while, you will get a candidate that will stand out. Even though we obviously had strong disagreements, because I think that she was probably full of it in many respects. But Kat Abu-Zagaba, however you say her name, the one that was running in
I don't name the food. You don't name the food.
Point is, in the Democratic Party, you are not elected. You are selected. That's how this works. So anybody who gets this half-baked idea in their mind that when something like this happens, that all of a sudden you are now magically going to enter the race and have a chance to win. No, they make these plans years and years in advance.
This is what happens. The cautionary tale of Sheila Sherfilis McCormick, when you interfere in their selection and bequeathment process. See, these representatives that die in these seats, they truly feel entitled to pick their successor, have a say-so about who takes their place. This is real. And so when somebody dares to challenge that chain of command, then the Dems will go after you, even if you're a good Democrat. But if you're getting in the way, if you don't know your place and that you know when to wait your turn, yeah.
Well, this was one of the things that you experienced in the first go around with Wasserman Schultz. They're like, oh no, that's Debbie's seat. You're not allowed to do that.
Right. Yeah. And she's alive. But when you do it after they die, it's the same thing.
Yeah. It's like, no, this was not for you. This is for somebody else.
We've already decided this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want people to understand that when they think you're getting anywhere by fighting through the Democratic Party, you're a goddamn fool. Like at this point, you're just banging your head against a fucking wall. Okay.
They're running a hospice. They're running a hospice.
Everybody who's got this idea in their head that AOC is coming to save the day in a few years, yeah, good luck with that. Let me assure you, good luck with that. You know why AOC might become president? I'll tell you why. And he was seeking, and David Scott was seeking another term at 80 years old.
That's the whole point. This guy is running, and how long has he been sitting there? 13th term. So what, 27 years? 26 years?
Almost a generation.
And
but
died while running.
But he's black and he's in Atlanta, so you can't say anything. You're not allowed to say anything. That's considered a non-starter.
And Atlanta is one of the worst places as far as the black misleadership class is what they call it there. And it is very, very predetermined who goes where when.
Well, that's the South in general. You know, everybody has this idea in their mind that the solid South, which was always a Democratic Party stronghold, is now magically a stronghold of the GOP. One of the primary reasons why the Democratic Party or the GOP is so strong in the South is because the Democratic Party cares more about protecting their fiefdom than they are about representing working people. Again, when JFK died, the party pretty much died with him. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened.
Okay, so this guy is connected to the rest of the party shenanigans. How? I'm curious to see the segue into the next, because I didn't realize we were combining this. So I'm curious to see.
The problem that you have here is that the Democratic Party has decided that they are going to play the same game that the GOP is playing, which is we're just going to gerrymander all the districts and we're not going to have competitive races. Like, there's no point. Yet, the way the Democrats frame it is that they're saving democracy because they prevented the GOP from doing it, so we did it first. That's their argument. So, Colin, can we please have that article? All eyes are on DeSantis. Florida could make or break the GOP's redistricting edge. Sunshine State is likely Republicans' last best chance to claw back an edge ahead of November. Now, the edge they're referring to is the edge in the House overall, not the state of Florida. Jen, would you like to start?
Oh, sure. President Trump's redistricting war now rests on Florida and his one-time primary rival, Governor DeSantis. The Sunshine State is the GOP's likely best remaining chance to claw back an edge to keep their House majority after voters approved a gerrymander in Virginia that will allow Democrats to pick up as many as 4 new seats.
Can we just stop and talk about that for a second?
Well, yes. So this is really the point of this, of us really talking about this, I think, is that gerrymandering is a political game used by both sides. It's a both sides thing. So, and we've covered this before. I'm having a flashback to us bringing on Long Island activists and talking about the redistricting that happened up there in Melanie DeRigo's seat.
Oh yeah,
and that was all Democrats in New York that totally did that. So, yeah.
The Democrats in New York were trying to gerrymander the state to have it be 23-3. 23-3.
So now
even Texas is not that brazen. I mean, they're pretty brazen in Texas, but they're not that brazen.
So what happened in Virginia gives them potentially more seats, but Florida, they're thinking they're going to switch that back. That's what we're talking about?
Here's another thing that I think people need to understand. That's very important. What you have to remember about this ballot initiative that they did in the state of Virginia to get gerrymandering approved for the Democrats, which is brazen beyond words to begin with, because you're making it hyper-partisan, which of course is how the majority of voters in midterm elections typically operate to begin with. But think about the amount of money that the Democratic establishment pumped into the state of Virginia to get this done. And we're going to get to what happened in California in a minute.
So this is just an important point of media literacy, recognizing that this is a both party situation. Okay.
Now, all eyes are on Florida to deliver a new map that could net the party anywhere from 3 to 5 seats, with legislators scheduled to hold a special session next week. National and state Republicans are counting on DeSantis to deliver on the White House priority and ensure their 9-month redistricting war doesn't end in a wash. One of the seats that is potentially on the chopping block is Wasserman Schultz's. This is honestly an all-hands-on-deck moment, because if you lose the House, you're going to bring essentially the agenda to a grinding halt. Blah, 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 blah. What agenda? You mean the endless war agenda? The genocidal agenda? And that's pretty much what it is. This is on DeSantis reached the governor's mansion during the 2018 cycle with help from well-timed Trump endorsements and became a rising Republican star during the COVID-19 pandemic that led to him challenging the president in the 24 election. The two had a rapprochement after Trump won, but they aren't always in lockstep. All eyes are on DeSantis in Florida. It's a little poetic. DeSantis has his marching orders, take the gloves off like Dems did in Virginia and California, and draw as many districts as you can legally for Republicans. Any redistricting effort in Florida is bound to run into political and legal obstacles. DeSantis first began clamoring for mid-decade redistricting last summer, roughly the same time the White House began pushing for lawmakers in Texas to act. Since then, Trump's popularity has waned, and backlash over high costs of living and his ongoing genocide in Gaza and his war in Iran has complicated Republicans' midterm landscape. One Florida GOP operative familiar with the governor's thinking, granted anonymity because he is not authorized to speak publicly, said that DeSantis would like to get something done on redistricting, but he realizes that atmospherics for the 2026 election are already in place, and it will be tough for Republicans to retain the House regardless of what happens in Florida. That is
okay. Also, people note this. Wait, go back, Colin, for a second. Scroll back to the beginning of that last one. Okay. One Florida GOP operative. What is that? Okay. When you see, yeah, what is that? What does that mean? What is a GOP operative? Because
we know
I know the kind of people. Oh, you and I know exactly the kind of people that they're talking about. But
and you know what the funny thing? And you know what the funny thing is? We can narrow this down on both sides to like 5 to 7 people that it could possibly be. That's
well, for me, we would be able to easier do it on the Dem side, I think, in terms of who's who. But you know what? These are the equivalent of some of those ladies in different parts of Florida that are always operative talking. You know what I'm talking about. Anywho. So guys, just be aware when you see something like this, GOP operative, take that with a grain of salt. That is someone whose job is literally to tell you what the party wants you to think about it. It doesn't mean it's true. It's just that's the party's spokesperson. And because they don't give a name and say who it is, you have to also double question. Okay.
The other thing you have to remember, and we've seen this in both parties, do you guys understand that in the corporate consultant class, ideology doesn't mean anything? It means nothing. You know how many people we've seen cross over back and forth, one part or the other? Yeah. Hillary Cosell goes to the GOP. David Jolly comes to the Democrats. You know how often that shit goes on?
Charlie Crist.
Can't make up his mind. He's in as many closets as he can fit into. I love you, Charlie, but I can't help but break your balls about that. Charlie Crist is always about the law, always. Yeah. But he is a politician through and through. I don't think he's an evil guy, but he's a smooth salesman.
No I don't support people that to me don't seem comfortable with their own self.
Well, that's
so DeSantis would like to get something done on redistricting, but he realizes the atmospherics will make it tough.
I read that part.
Okay. There are also legal questions over how far DeSantis and GOP lawmakers in Florida can go in redrawing the map, raising doubts about whether they can actually pull it off. They can. The state has a strict ban on redrawing congressional districts for partisan gain or to help hurt incumbents. Democrats argue any effort to redraw maps is illegal. Let's see that. Democrats in Florida argue that any effort to redraw maps is illegal and will hurt and will run afoul of this constitutional prohibition.
Not in Illinois, not in California, not in New York, and
not in Virginia.
Not in Virginia. But in Florida, yes, it's illegal in Florida. In Florida,
right, for them to do that. Okay, Democrats. Yeah.
Again, and this is the thing. The Democrats just gerrymandered Virginia worse than the Republicans gerrymandered Texas. And no one will talk about it in corporate media. No one.
No. Did they cover that on? I mean, I don't watch Fox, but I would think that that would be something they might harp on. But
well, yes, Fox News, of course, and on all the different media outlets and all that shit. But the fact of the matter is, everybody is a freaking hypocrite. That's the thing. That's why this story, as much as it has relevance in that gerrymandering is terrible and that it shouldn't exist and fair districting should absolutely exist, There is a reason why we don't talk about partisan politics on this channel. There's a reason why it's never made a front and center part of the story, because it's a waste of time and it doesn't actually equate to anything. Now, there is actually a story that did take place at the same time that this shit was going on that, of course, nobody is talking about.
Are we going to go into the wonderful California Democrats?
You know, I had been saying that if there is a true silver lining to Mamdani winning the mayoral seat in New York, there's things that he's going to do that I think are good. But one thing in particular that I think he is going to have a tremendous impact on is he is not going to get in the way of New Yorkers trying to pass the New York Health Act. I do think that he will provide at least some type of a runway where they could potentially do it themselves. Now, the Democratic establishment will work tooth and nail to stop them. The other state in the union that apparently has gotten fairly close to getting their single-payer system through is California. And it looks like they were getting a little
state in the country, right? Isn't
a
California
little too close? Which also goes to show you that any of you out there that is thinking that Tom Steyer is going to be your next governor in California, and he hasn't said one word about this, saying, hey, get me elected governor and I'll make sure that single payer gets passed in Sacramento. I haven't heard that yet.
Libertarian Social Democrat, agree 1,000%. Agree 1,000%. And I do also, like our friend Grumbine, have concerns about what will happen when it does pass in a state and then it gets sabotaged and then it fails.
You're never passing it at the federal level.
Wait a
never
second.
Doing it.
Well, I'm not saying that we're doing it. I'm saying how I see it can be fit, because on the state level, when you're dealing with a non-currency creator at a state level, there are multiple ways that something can fail like that, which is why it does need to be done at the federal level. I'm not going to say it's never going to happen. I think that we're getting closer. I think inevitably, just like people probably never thought we'd have Social Security or Medicare either. So it's like, I do think we'll get there.
We needed in order for something like that to happen. You know, that's also something you got to think about. And the reason why I don't believe it's going to happen at the federal level until something sparks at the state level is what, you know, guest of the show, Tom Hartman, once said, which is, if you're going to pass it at the state level, you have to have federal protections, you know, in terms of funding. You know, all states get federal funding. So there has to be, again, don't compare Vermont to California. Two completely different situations. And
no, but we're talking about non-currency creators, and that's the bottom line. And when you don't, when you're dependent on the federal government currency, then it's not really completely within your control, and your program can be sabotaged and fail in how it's set up. That's my thought.
Well, this is what happened the other day with CalCare.
Across California are outraged after Sacramento lawmakers blocked a major health care reform bill. The state assembly failed to advance AB 1900, or CalCare, which aimed to create a single-payer system. The California Nurses Association is calling the move a failure in leadership, pointing the finger directly at Democrats who hold a supermajority in the legislature.
Let's elect more Democrats.
That?
Just elect more Democrats. That will solve the problem, Jen.
Yeah.
That's definitely
if only Kamala were in charge. If only Kamala were in charge, it would all be better.
Yeah. This is, again, a prime example of what makes the news versus what doesn't make the news. Now, of course, this is Fox Local in Sacramento, so that naturally is going to make the news because, again, it's a pretty big deal in the state capital. However, you are not going to see anybody on national media covering a story like this, not a chance in hell, because this is real policy. This is something that could tangibly help working people's lives. We are not going to see that because, again, it is a farce. And this is the whole thing we have been saying for the longest time. If you don't have Joe Manchin, you have Kyrsten Sinema. If you don't have Kyrsten Sinema, you have John Fetterman. If you don't have John Fetterman, you'll have somebody else.
Right. The parliamentarian. You'll have the parliamentarian. You know, it's so interesting, though, because I, am married to somebody from California, and I've spent a lot of time in California. And, one of the biggest companies that I remember from always being there is Kaiser Permanente. Right. And whatever other, HMO type care middle managed care organizations they have out there. I would think that those companies are probably some of the biggest lobbyists in Sacramento. I would think that this is just they probably put all their effort into blocking this. That's what they're doing.
I definitely agree. I think that they are going to go tooth and nail to try to stop this from happening. And this is also part and parcel why I think that the GOP actually has a realistic chance of pulling this off in not even get a couple of months. The election's in 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, there is a very distinct possibility that Hilton and Bianca were going to be the two top candidates. And California is going to see a major shift red. And let me tell you, Jen and I have discussed this before. I think if the GOP is making, if they could sign up right now to lose the federal midterms in a wash, but at the same time take over the state of California, they would sign for that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, they would sign for it, because all they would have to do in a 4-year period, here's what the GOP would only have to do if they take the governor's mansion for 4 years. There's only one thing they have to do: reduce the cost of living in California. If they do that, the Democrats are going to have a very big problem going forward. And right now they have a very big problem because of shit like this. Why? Because they know that it's a governor's election and the Democrats are just as corporate bought off as the Republicans are. And they don't want to have to face the fact that you've got a couple of gubernatorial candidates running in the Democratic Party right now saying we're going to give you single payer health care if we get in there. Now this sets the shit back another year or more.
Yes.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
But remember, very important, keep voting for the Democrats.
Despite support from over 300 organizations and 2/3 of voters, nurses accuse Democratic lawmakers of caving to corporate interests.
Huh. Really? How unusual.
Yeah, I've never heard that one.
Democrats caving to corporate interests.
You know, somebody said the other day, and this is very true. I think it's Ben Hawk, who's actually in California. He's a good activist. And he said the big difference between Bernie and AOC, you really only have to twist her arm ever so slightly to get her to get in line. Bernie will ultimately fall in line, but he is at least somebody who enraged a significant portion of this country that they haven't given up on these primary issues. Alex is the type of person who, as I've said before, I would not trust as far as I could throw her. Because the one thing you could say about Bernie is that he's stubborn as an ox. Yeah, and he's fake. You could say he's fake. You could say whatever you want. But the fact of the matter is he believes in his way of doing business, and he thinks it's the right way to do it. He's wrong. But I do think that Bernie believes in his convictions. Alex, I said this to you. I'll say it to the channel. Alex is what if Vibes was a politician, that's what you get. AOC is vibes. Some good vibes.
Well, I find they're all vibes. They're all vibes. They're all useless. They're all doing nothing. They're all there just enriching themselves. So they're all vibes. The whole thing is vibes. Yeah. And from being there last week, it's not even good vibes. I'll tell you that right now. It's really bad vibes.
This is the other thing I really wish people would understand. And again, I love people's passion. I know a lot of you guys, have very strong opinions about all this stuff. But until you are in the middle of it, until you actually know what goes on in those halls, until you actually meet with federal legislators, until you actually meet with lobbyists, until you actually understand the business of DC politics, global politics, until you really understand what that is, you have no fucking clue what this is all about. We are just plebs. We are little ants on an ant farm. And they will crush us anytime they like. There is a reason why we are living in a country today where there are people who are still defending, I shit you not, Brian Thompson against Luigi Mangione. Like, this is the defense. It's more important to defend the mass murderer who just happens to do it with a fountain pen versus somebody who happens to pull the trigger one time. The person who pulls the trigger, the pleb who pulls the trigger, oh no, that's not acceptable. We can't have that. The person who makes a business decision to kill 75,000 people, that's the cost of doing business. And that's how the system is operating. It is perfectly acceptable to mass murder people as a result of this. And I think you can agree, Jen, that this story with Alex Karp, who I think we both agree is Big Brother.
Wait, before we're done, are you done with
No. Did you have
on childcare? Well, no, I want to reiterate that, and we've said this before. When you're talking about Luigi and you're talking about like what this looks like. It's violence. Denying healthcare to people is violence. Okay, setting warehouses on fire when nobody's in them, that's not violence. Denying healthcare to people, not paying people a living wage, that's violence. So we really need to control that narrative, because when we look at it from that perspective, something that somebody would say is cold blood, another person might say is defense of self and defense of others.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
And that there and again is the problem. We are living in a country where people, when you start to give up, and I mean really give up, where you just don't care anymore, it's understandable how we end up here. It's understandable why people don't really care about their neighbor. They don't care about their community. It's a kill or be killed situation. And that's why the system will not survive. It doesn't mean it breaks today, but it's going to break. Like this will not last. It can't last. It's too obvious. And I do think that that's really the lesson here in many ways. And that's the lesson of somebody like Alex Karp. Alex Karp may be the most psychopathic billionaire, if you want to call him that. But he is the definition of a person who truly has no empathy. Like, he really doesn't. Like, people don't deserve to live, as far as he's concerned, if he deems them as not, important, or as the Nazis used to say, essential. If you're not an essential person, well, then you could just be disregarded and be eliminated. And this is exactly why the healthcare fight, which always comes from left populism, which always comes from the working class, is so vitally important. Yeah. Again, the structure is set up where multinational corporations don't have to pay anything. In fact, I believe Elon pays like a tax rate of like 3 to 4%, and he pays the most. These guys generally don't pay anything. They figure out a way not to have to pay any taxes. There's many loopholes that they created. And it isn't this, oh, well, anybody can do it. The system is designed where you don't have to pay taxes if you're rich. You have to have certain levels of wealth in order to be able to access this type of these tax benefits. This is why it's a system that is going to break. It can't last. And so Alex decided to make a statement regarding Luigi Mangione. And Jen,
he ought not.
Yeah, he wasn't very. This actually kind of gives away the game in a lot of ways. Colin? Colin can't play a clip if the audio doesn't work. So, okay. All right, we will try it again in a second. But yeah, Karp is definitely, I don't know if there's a more sadistic oligarch out there, but you can't convince me that he isn't right up there with the worst of them. I think he truly embraces the very worst of not just capitalism, but there's also something to be said for what has happened ever since, what you would call the digital revolution. Ever since we entered a world where Silicon Valley, those that code, those that are perhaps not as strong with interpersonal communication as the next person, end up in a position where they have all this power and they have no empathy for the average person. They're going to rain holy hell on everybody. And this is the big issue that we're seeing now with the data centers. People really do not understand the environmental catastrophe that comes with these data centers. And they put them in places where people are populated. There are plenty of places in the country that you can put data centers where there's no one living within hundreds of miles. But you know why they do it? Because cruelty is the name of the game. Inhumanity is the name of the game. Making you feel like you don't matter is very important to a lot of these guys because they have to be reminded of how rich and powerful they are compared to the average person.
I'm just curious. I'm curious about something. And this is just a question out, just hypothetically speaking. Like when people start fires, like these warehouse fires that have been over 40 of them and stuff. And again, I would never suggest people do anything like that. I would never suggest that. I'm simply wondering if like the kind of buildings that house some of that stuff are in any way related flammably, just curiously, with like the data centers and what, like, I'm just curious, like if anybody knows about construction or building, I'm very curious if these data centers are built with flame protectant building materials. I'm just curious.
If they aren't, they will be now.
Well, I'm just saying, like, to me, it seems like, yeah, buildings might be buildings. I don't know.
Well, let's hear what Big Brother has to say.
It is very important that people who are smart.
Colin, come on, baby. What's going on
It's
here?
not Colin. It's whatever the thing is. It's not transferring well.
Well, again, it works just fine when I was listening to it on X. So I don't know what the issue is here.
But I can tell you what it's not. The issue is not Colin. The issue could be a X problem. It could be a StreamYard problem. It could be a variety of things.
All right. Well,
but it isn't Colin sitting there screwing with the volume.
I didn't say that he was.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can find an article in the meantime that could actually. This is the thing about live, guys. We got to always be. Got to be quick on our feet.
It's okay. We'll entertain.
Yes.
I could talk about tonight's strain, the strain of the evening, and I got to look it up. Hold on a second. Tonight's strain is called Mendo Gum. I don't know. It's called Mendo Gum. Now, Mendo is probably short for Mendocino. Is that I don't know. Mendo Gum.
Definitely do not need I don't need a data center by me. I've got an Air Force base by me. I got plenty. I got plenty of stuff. Let me tell you. I live close enough. Now, it's not happening around the corner, but let me tell you, I live by the biggest Air Force base in the world. I hear bombs going off. Now, they're coming from a far away distance. They're probably coming from maybe 20, 25 miles away. But let me tell you, you can hear them.
This is one of the ones that comes from a friend of a friend. So it's not in like some, THC labeled jar, but it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid. From how it affects me, I'm going to assume it's a sativa dominant hybrid. But yeah, we kind of get what we get. I don't live in a state with recreational, so
one more time to try.
Okay.
It is very important that people who are smart and have integrity and are willing to fight.
No, it's a StreamYard problem. It's a StreamYard. It's getting lost in the translation. So,
okay. Well, let's make sure that this isn't a StreamYard problem across the board because that's not going to be good at all.
I don't know who needs to.
Okay, so it's not. It's that clip. Why that is, I don't know.
Well, there's something wrong with it. It's not translate. Whatever that was, StreamYard is not liking that. Pirate Justin, the better question would be, what drugs is he not on? But I will say that he is not anyone that I would ever look at and be like, I want some of whatever he's on. Sometimes I see that. I see people that say things that are just so delusional that I think, I want what they're on,
Well, here's a story that I think is probably as relevant to what we're talking about right now. Not just because Luigi Mangione has completely thrown a curveball into this system, because he clearly has. Because a lot of people recognize, and now it didn't happen overnight, but a lot of these copycats have been, kind of finding their courage, if you will, to do certain things that they think are necessary, especially those that work in these places. But there's something equally sinister about this man. I've been saying for the longest time, I believe he's the most dangerous out of any oligarch that exists. I think Bezos and clearly Gates are not that far away, but this is some serious psychopathic shit right here.
I don't know why you don't include Peter Thiel in this assessment.
Well, Peter Thiel is part of Palantir, but I also think that Karp drives the car. I think Peter Thiel is
He's a lizard man.
Yeah, he is a lizard man. But Alex Karp is the true psychopath, as far as I'm concerned. Palantir wants to bring back the draft. Of course they do.
Thank you for that recommendation, Josie. We will have to check that out. We will have to look into that.
On Sunday afternoon, Palantir, the defense tech company that sells, excuse me, let me see if I can blow this up. On Sunday afternoon, Palantir, the defense tech company that sells software to clients like ICE, the U.S. military, and the Israeli military, decided to give us all a piece of their mind. The company's official X account published a list of excerpts from co-founder Alex Karp's 2025 book, The Technological Republic. The book frames Silicon Valley's move into military tech as the righteous repayment of a moral debt owed to the country that built the tech billionaire class. The engineering elite of Silicon Valley has an affirmative obligation to participate in the defense of the nation.
I'm sorry. Wait. I'm sorry. He's suggesting that the moral debt is owed to a country because the country built the tech billionaire class. You
I told you,
stupid motherfucking elitist piece of shit man. No, the moral debt is owed to all the workers whose necks you've stood on and whose backs you've broken to create your wealth. The government. Who the fuck?
If you read past the post and dig into the book itself, you'll find that this sentence continues, the engineering elite must also, Karp said, participate in the articulation of a national project. Well, what is this country? What are our values? And for what do we stand? That is to say, men like Karp should decide what this country is.
Here's the thing is that I'm starting to realize the importance of words even more than I ever have. He's not a man. That's not a man. It's seriously, people like that diminish, especially, and I don't know what you were referring to in that text before about the video, my rape segment. I don't know what you were talking about with that, but men, real men are protectors. Masculine energy is a protective energy. Okay. So when you're out there not protecting, you're not a real man.
This is also one of the primary reasons why we are losing the Constitution. It isn't from just one or a handful of bad apples in federal elected seats. It's people like him who do not believe that the law applies. It's like, no, I am above the law. I am more important than the law. I am the law. I create this. I'm the one who made this world what it is. Again, they believe that they're masters of the universe. That's what they believe. And the rules do not apply. We make the rules. He who has the gold makes the rules. And that is what they believe. There is no question that is how Karp is.
Oh, interesting.
If a U.S. Marine asks for a better rifle, we should build it. And the same goes for software. Palantir's Bill Ackman-esque discretion continued. It asserts that the future of American military dominance will not depend on nuclear deterrence, but on AI weaponry. So don't you get it now, guys? Don't you get why all of these data centers are popping up everywhere? It isn't to make your life better. And yes, I've seen your ads, Tony Robbins. No, this is a MIC 21st century special. That is what the data centers are. That's all they ever were, and that's all they ever will be. And if you think that they're here to help you in any way, I got a Democratic Party candidate to vote for in 2028 that's going to save the day.
I would just, these data centers, I don't suggest trying to put one of those in this valley. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that won't work. But
No.
again, they know where they can do it. You know where they go and do it? They do it where people are not armed. That's where they go. To the areas in this country where people are armed,
You
they
can't
leave them
come here.
alone because they
Yeah,
know.
you
They know
can't
better.
come here.
Possibly like the Palantir AI product that is reportedly used to help generate kill lists for the Israeli military in Gaza. Of course they do. He is a proud Zionist. Then, after arguing for the primacy of its own products called spy tech by Palantir's critics, Karp suggests the remilitarization of the Axis powers. The post-war neutering of Germany and Japan must be undone. The defanging of Germany was an overcorrection for which Europe is now paying a heavy price. Well, there is some truth to that, but not for the reasons he's suggesting. A similar and higher theatrical commitment to Japanese pacifism will, if maintained, also threaten to shift the balance of power in Asia. That would make those countries massive defense markets, which means more money for Palantir. Right now, about half of their earnings comes from their contracts with various governments. A further militarized Japan and Germany could see that share expand further. So again, it's all about shares for the shareholders. That's what this is about. More money.
Well, you know what? I think with somebody like him, he's particularly nefarious and evil. And it isn't just about the shareholders. I actually think that psychopaths like that, they use, I mean, the capitalism is just the tool that they use. No, I mean, yeah, it's the tool that they use to hurt the most people. These are psychopaths, right? So he doesn't necessarily do it with his hands, but this is how he hurts people.
No.
So
yeah, he's definitely, he is 1000% certifiable at this point. Or he always was. He's just not hiding it anymore, as he shouldn't. The rest of the manifesto is also essentially a sales pitch for corporate capture. Hard power in this century will be built on software. The company has had a banner year profiting on Trump's ICE crackdowns and currently holds $970 million in U.S. government contracts, but is eager for more. You better believe they are. As Palantir pitches an increasingly militarized U.S., ideologically determined by Silicon Valley tastes, at one point in the post, they suggest bringing back the draft. They're suggesting a country in which they get all the power. So when you hear these conversations about, who or why there is this suggestion, look at Lou running into the background. There she is. She's got some pep in her step. Is she coming to say hi?
And it's a cook day. She's happy. Yes, she's happy. It's a cook day.
But if anybody is trying to implement the draft, it is somebody like this. Let's hope this finally works.
Very important that people who are smart and have.
You know what I think? I am convinced that the reason we can't hear this is because Karp doesn't want us to hear it.
Well, they did something to the audio.
Yeah. Well, it's possible. Again, I haven't even checked this, but it's possible they may have shut down the audio online. It is possible that they may have silenced. Let me see.
See if you can hear it on your phone.
And have integrity and are willing to fight.
All right. So here's what we're going to try to do. Because my audio actually comes through pretty good because I have a good mic.
Just play it.
I am going to play Alex Karp's audio. So listen. You don't even want to see his psychopathic
I
face
actually
anyway.
don't. Actually, that is true. I don't.
And, it's like, and as a parting note, it's super important to stand up. It starts with footsie, pagan religion, protesting in front of everything where people are just trying to go to school or protesting against Israel or not having an interest in defending the U.S. And
people are saying they still can't hear it great. So I think it's not great.
They're completely linked.
It breaks up. It's sort of like you hear it and then it goes away for a second.
Stuff. And at every turn, and when people are asking money,
it's not good. It's just not good.
With our destruction, and there is no alternative.
All right. I think we need to like punt on this. We need to move on.
It starts with footsie, pagan religion. Alex Karp is an atheist, by the way. Protesting everything where people are just trying to go to school or against Israel or not having an interest in defending the West. And it ends with people justifying murdering CEOs. Now, CEOs get murdered because they bring it on themselves.
Actually, I could justify that first, Alex. I don't need to get through all those other things. I would actually reverse it and say we're going to start there. Yeah.
I would definitely agree with Henry's F Israel. Do not think for a second, and yes, Alex Karp is Jewish. Do not think for a second that when he name drops Israel, that's not a giveaway. It is. It's a dead giveaway. There is a reason he is saying it.
And that was from when? When was that?
I think it was over the weekend, actually.
Okay, so that's a recent conversation. Okay.
Very recent. Yep. But they should be concerned. And again, that's really the whole point, because, I mean, this isn't like the Joker movie, but there comes a point where you have to wonder how much people are going to be willing to take. How much are they going to be willing to be squeezed before they scream, we are not doing this anymore. We are not having this. And that, I think, as much as anything, is where the real problem lies. And Alex Karp is a very, extremely dangerous person. And if you think Alex Karp, if anybody, whether he pulled the trigger or not, does not have hundreds of thousands of deaths on his hands, that he is not responsible for bringing pure terror to the world, that is exactly what they do. That is what Palantir does. And the biggest issue, guys, when it comes to Palantir and why it exists is because of capitalism. If anybody truly had a moral compass when it comes to the free market, no one would invest in a company like Palantir. But Palantir is as attached to the broken capitalist system as anything, because it is the eye of the hurricane when it comes to the military-industrial complex. And as a result, in the free market system that we have in this country, if you invest in Palantir, you make a lot of money. It's a very lucrative stock, and it has very good dividends. And the average capitalist, if you will, that looks at this and says, well, I'm not the one pulling the trigger. I'm just supporting a stock that I know is going to do well. That, again, that's where it begins. That's where it ends.
Quarterman says he knows hippie types fully invested in war companies. Keyword, types. And I don't know what you mean by that. Maybe it's based on how they look, how they dress, but I assure you, hippies do not invest in war companies. We don't do that. We don't do that.
The more that Karp talks, the more likely people will say, I don't really want to be a part of this. This is not something that I want. But when anybody has been wondering for the longest time, who is Big Brother? Who is the face of evil? The face of evil is Alex Karp. He's the guy. There are other players out there for sure, but Alex Karp, unlike others, truly embraces the villain role in full view of the entire world. The good news is this country is not buying it. As collectively, it's not. No matter how much little Ben Shapiro talks about it.
That's once.
We have to address this lady who goes by Azadeh. Now,
wait, which one is this? Who is this?
I'll play it in a second.
No, but which story is this?
This is about the fact that this country is not on board with starting up the war again with Iran, even though Israel overwhelmingly wants this war. Guys, if you haven't smashed that like button yet, please make sure that you do. Let's get this out there to as many people as we can. Again, we are fighting that algorithm every single time we go live now. It has been unbearable how hard they're hitting our channel, but that's why we have an awesome audience that helps out a great deal. So if you haven't hit it yet, please do, and share the stream if you can, and drop a comment as well.
And if you haven't hit it yet, so I see you guys in there, all my fellow cannabis users. It is definitely a good time.
One of the big problems that ends up happening when The propaganda, the Hasbara isn't working as well as it used to. The justification based on, for the most part, anti-Muslim bigotry. This is the type of stuff that is now appearing constantly online.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but I just had to hop on here. I haven't even changed out of my pajamas since this morning, as I've been on the phone with people as they have lost hope. They have lost everything. They have lost family members. They have seen family members being killed, being tortured. They can't even find some of their family members. But it's not because of that. It's because they're losing hope, as there might be a deal going on between US and Islamic Republic. They have
Oh my God, the US might make a deal with the Islamic Republic and then we can't kill anymore.
Who is this and why are we giving her a platform?
Just another, again, don't worry about it. I'm not going to say her name. Doesn't matter. The point is that this is the type of propaganda that is going around constantly.
Where?
I have a friend who's from Tehran who thinks that this is a good thing. He thinks it's a good thing.
So she's an Iranian woman.
Correct.
Okay. See, you didn't explain this.
I thought I did. My apologies.
All I know is I'm watching this clip of someone. I don't know anything about her. Okay.
So this is somebody who desperately wants you to go and die for Israel and the US against Iran. Here's the thing that isn't happening, which is something that I think we like to point out constantly.
Okay.
Why are you not signing up for active duty? If you want this badly, why are you not stepping up to the plate?
Let me ask you, did you ask your friend why he's not doing that, or if he'd be willing to send any of his future children to go fight in this fair, this very righteous war?
Mm-hmm. And then when that happens, the conversation ends.
Well, this is why it's hard to be friends with people when they're that far off.
If you believe in something so much that you think people should die for it, you better be willing to die for it. Because then, no matter what color your skin is, no matter what race, religion, creed, or part of the world or societal upbringing that you come from, the second you believe that other people should die for what you want, you're a supremacist. That is the definition of a supremacist. A supremacist is somebody who believes that they're more important than somebody else. I've often said this is the reason why Teddy Roosevelt is the only one who gets a pass, because he was willing to die for what he believed in. So many others throughout history always believe that somebody else should go and die for you or somebody else. If you really believe in it, put on the fucking uniform. If this lady really wants us to support the U.S., the Western cause against the Islamic Republic of Iran, I have no problem with that. And I will even give you respect if that's your cause, if you're willing to die for it. If you're not willing to die for it and you want others to die for it.
She looks mighty comfortable to me.
Just a tad. Those look like very comfortable pajamas, Jen. What do you think?
She looks very comfortable. Can you let this play? Can we finish this?
Lost hope, and because of that they have decided to kill themselves, to end it, because they can no longer understand a world that want to make a deal with monsters, with this.
If you're going to pay somebody to lie, to basically spew Hasbara propaganda on the internet, pick somebody who can actually perform in front of the camera, because this woman is pathetic. Pathetic beyond words.
Islamic Republic, enough is enough. We need to show up for the Iranian people. I have received tons of messages that if this deal goes through, they are going to kill themselves, of schoolgirls. And I'm going to post it here so you see that this is serious. We do not want deal with the Islamic Republic. I don't know who needs to hear this, whether they're politicians, whether they're physicians, whether it's God that I don't even believe in anymore. But we do not need a deal with the Islamic Republic. Our youth are losing hope because they feel betrayed by the international community. Please help us.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing that. The problem, of course, is that there may be a situation here where we might have a war starting up again. But it's never going to end until we end our relationship with the genocidal state of Israel. And I would think that the good news is, and I think you would agree, that where we're at this point is a level of what are the 5 stages of grief? What stage would you say this lady was in?
I don't know. I don't know the 5 stages of grief. I know like the 7 stages of collapse of empire, and we're right up against 6. So yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I was ill prepared for that.
Is there something wrong?
No, I just don't know what I don't know the 5 stages of grief.
I would say that she's in denial. The denial stage is definitely the one that they're stuck in. Mr. Pink has says it's
I don't
denial.
think she's in denial. I think she's an op. And I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that
yeah.
so she's not in denial. She's just paid to say what she's paid to say, which is why I don't, yeah. No, I don't think that that's like a regular person. I don't think she's in denial. I think she's just a paid talking head, like every other stupid fucking content creator that we watch.
Well, that's not a content creator.
Whatever, whoever it is, any of these talking, whatever, it's somebody that's being paid by whatever regime to spew whatever shit and on social media and try to deal with their narrative that they have no control over anymore. That's it. Just another person paid to talk, and just you're giving it air. That's all it is.
Well, I think it's important that people continue to push them. Yes, actress on command. I think it is imperative that we continue to put forward what is actually happening, which is the average person does not want anything to do with this, which is great. But there's still a lot of work ahead because it doesn't really matter what the people want. What matters is that the Alex Karps of the world are going to continue to push forward this endless war agenda. And all the while, we are trying to get as many voices recognized out there, especially in Gaza, that we can. Jen, would you like to do the honors?
Actually, could you? I have to answer something right now.
We have been very clear from the very beginning since we started our show, especially since October 7th, 2023, that we were going to make no bones whatsoever about what our mission was. Our mission is to do everything we can stateside to help the people of Palestine and to break the Israel stranglehold over our country. And as a result, we have also become a channel that opens up its doors for people in places like Gaza, that if they have a message that they would like to get out to the world, if they can do it safely, then we are here to help in any way that we can. The guest we have joining us tonight cannot identify themselves, and we do not expect them to. The person in question is also covering themselves because they cannot be seen. They cannot be identified. Lord knows if they were, something bad could definitely happen. So we are very pleased tonight to have a guest who is in a part of the world that is hell on earth right now and wants to share their story. They are going by the name Sammy. So let's welcome Sammy to Revolutionary Change.
Hi.
You're
mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for reaching out. And if you would just start by giving your story. I know that right now you are not in West Asia, and that is part of the problem. That is part of what is going on here. So if you would just share your story as to why you're like stuck and why you're at risk.
Okay. First of all, I am right now. I am not in Gaza. I am from Gaza, by the way. I get out to reach some medical issue for my father. He have a heart condition. We cannot reach that medical treatment in Gaza. So I took him before 7th of October, before 1 year almost. So when it is happening right now, I face the problem. By the way, my father passed away in 24. After what's happening in Gaza, his heart cannot take it anymore. So he passed away something like four months after that. Now, I'm facing the issue that after the opening the Rafah crossborder, they refuse to let anybody leave Gaza before 7th of October to come back. So I'm here stuck right now. I cannot go back to Gaza. And also I am in a very foreign country. I don't speak the language. By the way, I'm sorry if my English is a little bit rusty because I don't use it for something like 4 years. So, and also I am self-taught. I don't go to any school to learn English. I just learn it by practice. So in that matter, right now, there is a lot of people like me. They left Gaza before 7th of October, and they now deny to come back. And the problem is almost everyone has a temporary residence. Like me, my residency here was attached to my father's condition. So he now passed away. They want me to leave. I have some problem with that residency in this country, why I can't leave. I make a case in the court. I win the case. They renew my residency lately, but still they always want me to leave because I'm done here. This is a situation that nobody addressed until now. This is a problem. It will be involved in the coming days. And in that matter, this is all my story. So I'm stuck right here with my mother and my wife, which they joined me here. And I don't know anything, almost about half of my family in Gaza. They just got no phones, no internet, nothing. I lost a lot of people in that. The problem is I'm not there. I wish I could be there. If they let me come back, I will go like tomorrow, but they refuse. Why I'm covering myself? If they knew that I'm talking about Gaza or about the war, they will put my name in the board. Even if I went there, they will arrest me immediately. And also, it will be known to my family in Gaza, which also can be harmed for my speaking to you. They know us, they know where we live, they know because it's only 2 million people. So they know a name of every single one of us, where he lives, which is family, how they can get us. They have all this information. We are like open book for them. We are under surveillance 24 hours. We saw the blaze come and goes before October 7th, of course. So they know everything about everybody with us. That being said, this is the whole thing I want to say about myself. My excuses. You have a question?
I have a question. I mean, so obviously don't say where you are. That's not really the point, but where would you be expected to go back to? Where would you go? So if you can't stay where you are and you can't go back to where you're from, where are you supposed to go?
I don't know. Right now, I am telling you, this the governor here, they want me to leave. They deny my renewal residency since my father died. This is 2024 started. I take that rejection. I went to court here. This is for administration decisions. So I appeal. They cannot leave. If they want me to leave, they send me to Gaza. Otherwise, I cannot leave. I don't have anybody outside I can stay with. They want me to go to Egypt. But if I went to Egypt with no possibility to go to Gaza, they will put me in jail. Me and my mother and my wife, they don't have. They will beat me immediately in jail until Rafah cross are opening. So I can stay there for 1, 2 years, 4 years, I don't know. This message for me.
No, it's horrible. And I know, I mean, as somebody just talking, it looks like it's somebody who is detained in, I can never pronounce that correctly. Say Timen, you probably can read that better than I can, Sammy. They took a group of detainees and me to a corridor between the sections and forced us to strip completely naked. The soldiers brought in several dogs. So that's somebody who is also in that predicament.
Yeah, they do that. There is one more thing I like to do, that no media take that seriously. Right now, Al-Sisi blackmailing us. This is unbelievable. He blackmailed us. Until now, Al-Sisi, for each truck enter Gaza, he charged us with tons of money.
Yeah.
Like 40,000 for each truck for flour. Raise for another 40,000. For gas, cooked gas, they took 122,000 for each truck. All the donation they gather in Gaza, they go to Al-Sisi. This is a huge problem. Instead of entering 10 gas cooking, we enter 1 in the same price. This is, and nobody addressed that probably or continuously. I would like every time somebody mention Israel to add it Al-Sisi with it, because he is a large problem. He is the cause of our suffering, really. He could open Rafah border. He could just leave the tunnels, the secret tunnels. He destroyed 3,000 tunnels. 3,000, can you imagine? Not just 10 or 100 or 500, 3,000 tunnels he destroyed. Just because deny us food. It's that we don't need nuclear or weapons from Egypt. Just bring us food, nothing more. And they denied because the heat, there is the heat between Al-Sisi and Brotherhood, and he considered the H group in Gaza is a Brotherhood organization. So he hit us all the Gaza. And this is why he refused, by the way, he refused to evacuate us from Gaza to Sinai, because he's so afraid of us. He knew we will not stop fighting. He knew that. He knows that very well. So he just doesn't want us to come in Sinai or stay in Egypt. If I went there right now, if they force me to go to Egypt, he will prison me 100%.
Right.
Just in case.
They do. I mean, Egypt and Jordan are just little puppet regimes for American empire. So they're just going to do whatever. I mean, Egypt gets the second most amount of money from us after Ziohel. So, they're going to do what they're told to do.
I promise you, as he should do that for his pleasure. He doesn't need anybody to tell him to do that, because he's is a very small man, very small man. He's afraid of his shadow. He died until today, 10 years of governor Egypt, and nobody knows where he sleep. Nobody knows in Egypt where he stayed. Nobody. 10 years or more, governor Egypt, and he cannot get the trust that he's safe. He expects them to coup him any minute, like what he did to Mohammed Morsi. And this is, I would love just anybody mention Israel to add it, Al-Sisi with it, because we are suffering because of him. That money, if they goes to Egypt, maybe we don't mind, but it goes to his bucket, his personal bucket. It's not goes to Egypt economy or something like that.
It's fine. Jen has klutz moments every once in a while. And what I wanted to ask you, which I think is very important, we see all the things that are happening right now in Iran, in Lebanon, and I do not want, which again is such a nightmare in so many ways, to for a second allow the story of Gaza to be removed from the priority of what is going on right now. And if you could share any specifics in terms of what is currently going on, because we know that the genocide is not stopped, and what, if anything, can we be doing here to help? Because again, I'm seeing certain people in the chat offer their smart-ass opinions about what we should and shouldn't be doing. We try to do everything we can within the capacity that we can do to help. So I'm curious what we could be doing to help, and how is the situation right now in Gaza as we speak?
Well, first of all, keep mentioning the situation in Gaza. Right now, there is a flotilla, a flotilla heading to break the siege in Gaza, something like 70 ships. But I don't see in the platform anybody really care about it. Nobody mentioned it. Until now, their X account, something like 300 people like or share when they posted about their location or what they are doing. Just 300. That's nobody. It's nothing. So I saw a lot of platform in YouTube, American platform. I follow a lot of them. And I don't see them even address the flotilla.
To be honest, I was not aware that I heard that they were going to try to go back again with the flotillas, and that they were going to go back with a fleet this time, like a legitimate fleet, in this case, 70 boats. But I hadn't really been seeing any of that being talked about. So maybe they are trying to do it under the cover of night, that maybe with Israel distracted by a whole bunch of other war fronts.
Follow their account in X. They mention everything they are doing. They left Lishbona something like 5 or 6 days ago. Now they are in the sea. They try to board in Tunisia. Tunisia refused. They said, no, you cannot enter Tunisia. So they continue after that. So right now they are maybe a week or less far from Gaza. So they are moving. They are moving right now. But I don't know. They don't. That Iran war cover every other news. But they are moving right now, and they are streaming live from the boats as much as they can. I'm following their account in X. But as I told you, something like 300 share, that's all. The best day, 300 share. I don't know, people really lose interest about that. It is a very important move. We have not sailed a boat from Gaza directly, something like in 67. From 67, there is no boat come or go from Gaza. So if they can reach, that will be amazing. That really will be amazing. Whatever they carry, it's not important. The important that they can reach us. And we have a lot of them. There is one.
No, please continue, Sam.
Okay, I have another point I like to address. There is a lot of saying that Netanyahu has helped finance the H group in Gaza. And that's correct. That's correct. But it is, when they discuss this, they make it like it's they are agreed to each other, or they have a conspiracy between them on us. This is not true. Netanyahu helped finance Hamas, but because they play him. He knew, Netanyahu, his most interest to keep Gaza and West Bank separated. That rule, divide and conquer. They want Gaza, a government, West Bank, a government, and both of them, they don't want us to be together. So I'm not going to give them the illusion that the only interest about power. Just as long as we in power, everything will be okay. Because of that, he keep finance them to keep them alive. Because there is no economy in Gaza, no economy whatsoever. If anything Israel like to blockade from us, they will do it. So they give them that illusion. Because of that, he's so furious. Because when 7th of October happened, he knew how much fool he is. This is why he's so furious. He put the head over Gaza because of that. Because he realized how fool he is. That's it. So this is another thing. They don't compare Hamas with Netanyahu. They are not friends, even if he helped finance them.
If there is anything positive that I can share with you, that you can share with the people you know and love in Gaza right now, is that the tide is absolutely turning in the West. The opinion of Israel and the United States is extremely volatile at this point, to the point in which there are political movements, particularly the America First movement, which is growing exponentially by the day, that puts the line in the sand very firmly that Israel never, we will have nothing to do with them or their cause, and that is the long and the short of it. Now, that obviously doesn't result in immediate change this minute. However, it sets the precedent for the future that if you have anything to hang on to, is that this country is changing its political and economic position on Israel. And once that is firm, Israel will not be able to exist anymore because they can't survive, they can't stand without us. And once the American people have made it clear that this is the future for our country, which does not involve Israel, that is where, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And as much as it is, they always say the night is darkest before the dawn, and it is very dark right now, but we are not giving up on this, and we are continuing to fight the good fight, even in the midst of this expanding regional world war, if you will, for the betterment of greater Israel. The lunacy of this project knows no bounds. But like I said, the great news is, if there is any silver lining, is that the people of the United States, as an overall consensus, want nothing to do with Israel anymore, ever again.
Yeah.
And that, if anything, that you can hold on to is something that, if there is any positive light, this is it. And we are going to continue to fight however which way we can to provide whatever sustenance that can be provided, however limited it is that we can provide it with, but to at least provide something tangible of value that will allow you to see a future that is positive in spite of all the hell that's going on right now.
Well, I don't know what to say for that. If we can hold in more, as you see, nothing in Gaza right now. But still, I would love to go there in a heartbeat if I can. Okay, because I have sisters there, I have brothers, I have nieces, I have nephews. I would like to be with them. This is not questionable. I would do that. And when they open that Rafah crossboard, I feel very happy. I tried immediately to go there, but there is a decision that it is not allowed for anybody to leave Gaza before 7th of October 7th to come back. Another thing also I would like to address, that for us, it is not a religion thing. For us, it's not a religion thing. This is not because of religion what we are doing. We are doing because we face thieves. They stole our land, they stole our homes. For us, they are thieves. We have to get that thing from him. We have to get it back. By the way, that I think Democratic woman you mentioned, she's named Kate Abu Ghazala. Her family
Yes.
name Abu Ghazala. This is a Palestinian family, originally from Jaffa. Right now, their name is Tel Aviv. Until today, there is buildings in the street. Her family name in that stone. Until today, you can, if you have anybody with camera traveling in old Jaffa, they will find their houses, their business, place of business in Gaza right now. This is Kate. It's come from Jaffa originally. Family Abu Ghazala, very famous in Jaffa, and very big and rich family. Back then in the days, they have what they call it, field of orange fruit. They export it in all Europe. Abu Ghazala is very famous family with in our land. So for us, this is the 5 things. We don't care about religion right now. If my brother take my land, I will fight him for that. It's not a matter about Muslims, Christian, Jew. This is not our issue. Okay, we fight for our land. That's it. So anybody try to make it a religion thing, he's just playing. He make a fool of his listeners. It's not a religion in any way, shape, or form. This is another point I want to address also.
Yeah, we talk a lot about that. I mean, we actually started talking about Zionism a year prior to October 2023. So this is something that we've talked a lot about because as somebody who was raised Jewish and Zionist, I think it's very important for people to understand the difference and that there are Jewish Palestinians. I know people don't like to remember that, but it isn't a religion thing. It's a white supremacy colonial thing. And that's unfortunately what we're all up against. And I just want to ask you, before you go, I just want to know, like, so what would your option be? Like, where could you go? Do you have anywhere you could go?
No, I can't go. I can't leave this country. Any country it will be the same. But the real problem here that it's hard for me to find a real job with my. I'm university graduated, so I was have a real job in Gaza. We have a family business, so I do the business with my family. But right now it's no more. So here it's very hard for me to find a job because they don't speak Arabic. They don't speak even English. It's totally different language, and I have to learn the language to start working. And another thing, I don't know when I should leave. You know, maybe after a month, maybe after 2 months, they will open Rafah cross and I can leave. So I don't know when to learn the language, how to do it. If it takes a lot of time for me to learn, even to just speak with the taxi driver, with the grocery store people. So this is another thing I am facing right now, that we cannot find a proper job here because it's not our country. I don't know anybody here. I'm totally alone. There is some Palestinian here and there, very far from the city I am in, because I take a place near to the hospital for my father's treatment, so we cannot be far of that. Now I'm facing, this is a city, this is a small city, no job here. I cannot learn the language, or if I learn the language, what I will do with it, I don't know. So that's it.
Oh. Well, all I want for you is to be able to go back home to a place that's your home, and your people. And that's what we're all wanting to happen. We want there to be one free Palestine from the river to the sea. I mean, that's what I want for you so much. Like, I wish there was something we could do to help your situation. I don't know, I feel so helpless.
Well, I am helpless. Even the Palestinian embassy here are hopeless. They didn't know what to do. And by the way, I cannot go to any Arab country. Can you imagine? I cannot go to any other. So at least they speak the same language. They will not accept me. Any Arab, from Morocco to Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, they will not accept me.
Are there any countries where you could go? Like if that they would accept you, not that you should go, but like, are there any countries where you could go?
No. Right now, I cannot leave the airport. You know, if I'm not going to Egypt, I cannot leave. There is no country give me a visa or residency, nothing. Because they all of them, they say they recognize the state of Palestine, but they didn't recognize our passport. Yeah. If I want to apply for online, I try to apply for online, for example. When they give you a country to choose, there is no Palestine.
No, there's
Only
no
Israel. Yeah, and that in the country list, there is no Palestine.
Sammy, if there is anything that we can do, we are going to try to get this conversation out to as many people as we can. And we definitely want to we continue to draw as much attention to what's going on as we can, because your story is one of many stories that are going on. This is also one of the primary reasons that the average privileged Westerner doesn't seem to understand when they say, well, how come you don't just leave Gaza if they're dropping bombs on there? Why don't you just go somewhere else? Well, this is an example of why you can't go anywhere else, because it's basically a death sentence, and that's what they're counting on. So if there is anything that we can do going forward to help, just keep us in mind and always have this as your outlet for not just yourself, but for anybody who is dealing with this right now. We may be a small but mighty channel. We are going to continue to do what we can to draw as much attention to this as we can. We're going to keep fighting on the front lines as best we can. And I hope you hang in there. We both hope that the best is not just for you and for your family today, but for however long it's going to take until this is finally over. And again, as much as we are doing what we can to help, we know it's not enough. It can never be enough, but we will always be here to help. Final thought before you go.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope I explained myself well in my little English.
Your English is great.
You did great.
Thank you very much. And I would like to say happy birthday for you. I hear that your birthday next month or something.
Yeah,
both of us. Well, yeah, we're both Tauruses.
Both of you. So happy birthday for you both. Happy birthday for you both. And I wish that, and by the way, yes, another thing, I'm sorry for you lost your job that other day also. I want to
Peter did,
say my,
I appreciate it.
yeah.
But you know what? Like I said, I've always had a very working man's disposition about all of this. I've had success, I've had poverty, I've had everything in between. And what I can assure you is that anybody who sees themselves as better than anybody else, just understand that your story could be anybody's story one day. So don't ever take for granted how lucky you are to not have to go through this. And the fact that you are going through this, we feel obligated to try to help in whatever capacity we can. If I lose a job, that's nothing in the grand scheme of what's going on right now. But
it's a lot of sacrifice you are doing. We are appreciated that very much. And I'm very proud for Jean to wear kufiyya every time she appears. I'm very proud of that. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for speaking for us. Yes, watermelon. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, well, no, I'm not wearing watermelons today. I'm not. I'm just kefir today. Sometimes I'm watermelon. I got to change.
I saw them. Yeah. Thank you very much for everything you are doing. You are just like the lightning for everybody who's following you, especially from Gaza. I'm telling you, if there is an internet, you will be swarmed of the people from Gaza. If they have an internet, a proper internet, I am sure they will come to this channel. A lot of us speak English or understand English, by the way. Yeah. A lot of us are university graduated. We have 100%. Everybody should take a enter the university. We have no exceptions, even if they don't want to work with it. You know, they have a family business, they have their wealth, but still they must. We are highly estimated. For example, we want to get married or something. First thing they ask if you graduated from university or not, or you're planning to graduate. Otherwise, they will not accept you.
Right.
For that only. For that only.
Oh, I know. I know
boys
that
and
that's
girls,
how
by
it
the way.
is. I know it.
Boys and girls, everybody of us like that. So
Inshallah.
thank you very much.
And
Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, you can stay in touch. You have our contact information. And if there's anything we can do that you can think of that would help in some way, please reach out.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
See you around. Bye.
It's not easy to do this. And this is
Okay, I have to say something before I forget. I'm sorry. To whoever it was in whatever comment on one of our videos, and I get some shitty ones, that accused me of cultural appropriation for wearing a keffiyeh, go fuck
yourself. I said that before even Jen said it, and I knew exactly what she was going to say.
And I don't care that someone said that, because I've been thanked enough times by Palestinian people of whose culture this is. In fact, this exact keffiyeh was a gift to Rachel for working for our channel from a Palestinian woman, gave her keffiyeh because she liked what we were doing. So yeah. Yes.
If you are enjoying this conversation, which we hope you are, consider going to patreon.com/revolutionary change. For as little as $5 a month, you can become a supporter of our small but mighty, despite heavily suppressed, but still fighting and growing channel. We want to kick things off with SS Wolfenstein SS. I don't know if that's supposed to be a play on words or not, but I know we've seen you before, my friend, and thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. We really appreciate it. Pirate Justin with the $2. Happy Thirsty Thursday, revolutionaries. Always a pleasure, my friend. Arlene Chambers with the $10. Is there a way to know if our 401k investments are going to shithole entities like Palantir? I do believe that there are ways to confirm whether or not your money is actually going there. Usually it's based on its disclosure. Like they do have to reveal. It's kind of like a mutual fund. Like you do have a right to know where the money's being invested.
I question the level of shrouding that is involved with these corporations and how easy it is for them to launder and make things look and appear one way, but it's really a different way. I'm very familiar with people that do it like Debbie Wasserman Schultz in terms of where she gets her money from. So I think it's something that you could easily manipulate and not really trace if that was the case. Like, because especially a 401k, when you're talking about these mutual funds and however many, different investments they have, there are so many ways to cover tracks.
You got that right. A big shout out to Nawal Najer with the 1999. Thank you for giving voice to the Palestinian people and telling the stories that few will tell. Much love and respect. God help Sammy. He speaks the truth about the Arab countries. Yes, you know what it is.
We're having some controversy in there. Obviously, we have an Egyptian friend. And our Egyptian friend needs to understand that when we criticize, quote unquote, Egypt, it's not its people, it's its regime, it's its leadership. It's the same way we criticize this country. It's the regime, it's its leadership. It's not all of us here in community. It's not personal.
It's like the same thing that's going on in Iran. It's the same thing with anybody that, especially that we know personally, that is supporting the efforts to overtake the Islamic Republic of Iran. And to that end, I say, well, look, if you're complaining from the capital instead of District 12, that's a completely different ballgame, because if you're not willing to put your life on the line, who are you to tell others to do it for you? That's always been my attitude.
Well, I just don't want people getting, personally offended. Unless you're Zioheli, you can be my people. So, again, you, as long as you're not one of them, can be my people. So, I assure you that any beef I have with Egypt has absolutely nothing to do with the people. So, in fact, I went to an amazingly good Egyptian iftar couple of Ramadans ago. And yeah, it was quite delicious. I'm going to put I always
I'm
wanted to put
already
out like a
hungry as
ranking
is.
book.
Thanks for like
I
reminding
want
me.
to put out like a ranking guide to South Florida
Yeah.
iftar dinners. Like
That'll be
La
fun.
Gringa's guide to the South Florida iftar scene.
And finally, Jim Taleb with the $5 super sticker. Always appreciate you being here, my friend. And of course, again, patreon.com/revolutionary change. When somebody would ask, are we doing ourselves a disservice as a channel? Because we do have a good thing going, but we understand the risks involved with either getting shut down, getting suppressed, not being able to reach an audience that allows us to potentially make a few bucks so that we can continue doing what we're doing. The fact of the matter is, we cover these stories because we have to cover these stories. Because if we don't cover them, then stories like this will continue to be commonplace, and one is going to ask themselves, when will it ever end?
Oh.
Lebanese journalist Amal Khalil bombed and left to die by Israel. So here's the beautiful part of this whole story. She got blown to bits and wasn't dead. And Israel refused to let medical aid in the few hours that she was still alive. And it turns out that if she did get that medical treatment, she might very well have survived. So this was a malicious assassination, not just let's blow her up and she won't even feel it. Let's blow her up and then make sure she suffers incredibly hard until she dies.
I'm so angry. I'm just so fucking angry.
Colin,
Like,
pull
just
it, please.
ridiculously angry. And I'm scared for people like Rania. And I'm just.
By the way, speaking of Rania, Rania's father passed away this morning.
I saw a thing of her that she put like a tribute to her. I forget how she referred to him, whatever his nickname was. That was sweet.
This is from a friend of the show, Jeremy Lafredo. So shout out to Jeremy and all the great work that he does. Lebanese journalist Amal Khalil bombed and left to die by Israel. After Khalil was apparently targeted of course she was targeted, by Israel, a commentator asserting a connection with the military said journalists affiliated with Hezbollah are destined for death. Gotta love these guys. Yeah, no, she's real dangerous. Let me tell you, that's a very dangerous woman right there.
Hold on one second. This is somebody who's a regular watcher, so I'm not going to be dismissive, okay? No, I do not wish that on anybody. I do not wish that on anybody. But again, that's a straw man argument. It's not an either or. You're making it be like it's an either or thing. So in other words, if I critique the Egyptian regime and the government, then I'm suggesting then somehow that means that I want the people of Egypt to be genocided. I don't think so. I think that's kind of a silly straw man.
No straw mans. We hear about that enough from people that are trying to defend
that's silly.
Supporting Israel against Iran. Scroll, please, Colin. Jen, if you would, please.
I'm so enraged. Prominent Lebanese journalist Amal Khalil was killed on Wednesday in what appeared to be a targeted attack by the genocidal entity in the town of Tyre. Is it Tyre, guys? Please.
I'm pretty sure it's Tyre.
Tyre in southern Lebanon. Her employer, Al Akbar, confirmed the death of their correspondent. Khalil and Zainab Faraj, a freelance photojournalist, were both on assignment in southern Lebanon, reporting on recent attacks on their southern village of Bint Jbeil. Again, please, Lebanese people, forgive me. According to Al Akbar, which published a timeline of the events, the car they were driving behind was targeted by the genocidal entity at 2:45 p.m., killing two men inside, Khalil and Faraj then took shelter in a nearby house. So again, they didn't just kill her. This is akin to what happened with the, the food kitchen. Remember back
Yes.
the World Central Kitchen where they like hunted them down to each vehicle. So first they were shot at, then two of them were able to take refuge. At 4:27 p.m., the house where the two journalists were taking refuge was bombed by the genocidal entity, and contact with the journalists was lost, according to Al Akbar. The genocidal entity did not respond to requests for access, obstructing any rescue operation. According to a Lebanese military official speaking to Al Jazeera, the Red Cross was eventually granted limited access to the site, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists, which remained under active fire. Yeah, I think that your committee is just, there's no point anymore. We live in a lawless rogue society. You can't protect anybody. They were able to, okay, go ahead.
They were able to evacuate Faraj, who reportedly sustained critical head injuries, and to recover the bodies of 2 other civilians who were killed. But they were forced to withdraw before finding Khalil because of continued shelling and the direct firing on rescue crews and vehicles. The Red Cross vehicle that transported journalist Faraj to Tubanon Governmental Hospital was hit by Israeli gunfire, with bullet marks visible on the vehicle, according to the state-run national news agency, which means, again, this was a targeted assassination.
Nobody thinks otherwise. That's just silly. So now they're literally shooting at the rescue vehicle that was able to save one of the people. Yeah, that's pretty targeted.
The Red Cross was able to return to the area, after which Khalil was pronounced dead. The repeated strikes on the same location, the targeting of an area where journalists were sheltering, and the obstruction of medical and humanitarian access constitute a grave breach of international humanitarian law. The Israeli military did not immediately respond to a request for comment. And even if they did comment, what do you think they're going to say? She was hanging around with Hezbollah, so now she's Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is also Hamas, so she had to die. And that's it. That's all there is to it, guys.
So are Ansar Allah, and there's choices that different governments can make in support of people. And yes, I'm not saying that that's not a risky thing, but yeah. Yeah, I feel like that too. They really made her suffer. They really made her suffer. I mean,
which is the intention. And if you think that this story is bad, you wait till the next one. This is a short clip on. She really was an exceptional journalist, and you're going to get a small taste of it here.
ونحن رجعنا معهم، عم نواكب رجعتهم وعم نواكب إعادة تأسيسهم للحياة.
Does this woman look like a terrorist to you?
I'm so angry.
They killed her because she's exposing the truth behind their genocidal, dying regime. Let me assure you, Israel, if you can hear me, because I know you can, because I know you have ops that watch our channel, you can kill a person. You could kill me, and Lord knows you really would like to. But you can't kill an idea. And the future, the idea of the future of the world that we seek, does not involve you existing anymore.
I think of Shireen also, whoever said that. I think of her too. Anybody, these people, these journalists, I mean,
they're heroes.
I mean, truthfully, they are. And this actually was what all journalists used to do in terms of foreign and war correspondence was they were always in harm's way. That was what made journalists heroes. That was what made them heroes. So that's always been a dangerous job to some extent, but this is not that.
No, this is on a whole
this
other
is
level.
yeah, this is not that. I mean, and the fact is our news agencies, like Western news agencies, stopped having war correspondents a long time ago. After it was like there weren't a lot after 9/11. It trickled after that, then they stopped letting them go, and that's part of how they've been able to completely control the narrative and keep us in this silo, because we don't have access to a lot of the information. And that's what makes what these people do so incredibly important. And the genocidal entity and our empire know that. They know that people like her are dangerous to them.
The truth is dangerous, very dangerous. When you think about the level of control that the Zio state exerts in conjunction with our ruling class, our State Department, there are real cracks in the armor. Because once it's lost forever. There's one thing that the Zio class understands, is that once they lose it, they will never get it back. It's over forever. And this is why targeting assassinations like this of those that are exposing the truth. Again, this is why from day one, Jen was not fucking around when she said that there would be 2 million dead people in the desert. It didn't have to all be Palestinians. But 2 million dead people in the desert is absolutely spot on, because that's what they're doing. They'll do it in Iran. They'll do it in Lebanon. And you just wait until they fuck with Turkey. And then you've got World War III. Really have it. Because that's a whole other ballgame. That involves us leaving the UN. There's many, many layers to this. And we are conscripted. Right now, we are conscripted. It doesn't mean it's always going to be this way. But for this moment in time, where we are right now, this is what we have to do, is bear witness to this genocidal machine. And
I will never forgive for that. I will never forgive that I'm watching this.
No. There's no forgiving this. There's no forgiving any of this. And I don't care. You know, the one thing that I do take pride in, I really have to say, especially since I've lived in abject poverty for several years, I do not have any sympathy at all for anybody who is uncomfortable. You can take your comfort and shove it square up your ass. No one is entitled to be comfortable. If you live in the United States of America, you are in a privileged position. Yes, things suck royally in this country. You know what you don't have to worry about in the United States? Bombs being dropped on your fucking head. And so when people... Yet.
Let's be real about that. Because it hasn't happened until it happens.
I mean, it's not going to happen. Think
I'm
about
just
the people in this country.
You don't get to put as much shit out there on this globe that we do. And I mean we, because this is collectively our responsibility. I'm not saying it's our fault. I'm not saying that all of us individuals who have been on the right side of history have caused it, but it is collectively our responsibility. And when you put out the amount of shit out there in the world and kill the amount of people that our country kills via sanctions and direct war, to think that it is never going to come here is a level of hubris that I don't possess. So I don't know that to be true.
Think about the situation with Amal's assassination and what that represents. And think about how impactful, because she was considered a very solid journalist. So think about what would happen if somebody like Jordan Chariton, Ben Norton, Aaron Mate, Max Blumenthal, Ryan Grimm, what if one of them went into a war zone and they got blown to bits?
You know how many war zones Chris Hedges has actually reported from?
Yeah. What if they got blown to bits? How would you react then? You think then that
Well,
would be?
and I'll tell you the difference. I'll tell you how I'd react. If it was legitimately collateral damage, I'd be horrified and sad. And I would say, like, that's horrible. But it is not the same thing as this. This is not that people that go into war zones as journalists recognize the risk of doing that, because there is a risk in doing that. You're going to a war zone. Yes. But this is a whole different thing. They, in the past, other than from the genocide entity, have not been targeted. That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
And this is exactly why people like Sheryl Sandberg need to get their faces pounded in. I don't care how rich and privileged they are. They are people that feel that they are above reproach. And as I was saying earlier, it's the same issue with people who think that others should go and die for what they believe in. Ben Shapiro being one of the absolute worst humans walking the earth. This is how revolution happens.
I'm not going to talk too much shit about Sheryl. I'm just not.
Did you talk a little shit about him, though?
Are you going to go for twice? Is that what you're going for?
I did go.
Bend the brows. Bend the brow. We're not covering Shapiro. We're not. We're just not.
I might have to cover him Saturday. We'll see.
That sounds like a you thing.
By the way, I've seen you guys pointing it out in the chat, so we're not going to do it tonight, but I will be addressing Laura Loomer on Saturday. So just keep that in mind.
We had a discussion about that, and I would rather not.
So
I do not want to give mental energy and airtime and a platform to people that offer nothing. I don't.
She may have, let me tell you something. She went on such a racist, bigoted rant against Candace Owens that she may have really stepped in it this time.
Good. No. I want her to show her whole ass.
I don't want to see her ass. I don't want to see her ass. Probably a man's ass too.
It might be better than her face. So she, you never know with that one. She's got a butter face.
She's got a jigsaw face. If you thought that story was bad, this is a story that is even worse. And the reason it's worse is because if there's one thing Jen and I have a lot of disagreements. We have a lot of fights. But if there's one thing that always ties Jen and I together, it is our unequivocal, unconditional love for dogs.
Yes.
And when you bring dogs into the equation, Israel, and let's be honest, it's not just the people you're abusing when you bring dogs into the equation.
No, you're abusing the dogs. Absolutely. Oh, for sure. The whole thing. And to whoever that was in the chat, whether or not your story is or is not real, I don't know. But the chat is not the place for the graphic description of your personal experience. If you would like to discuss your personal experience, send us an email. Maybe you could be a guest.
Colin, please pull up the story. When you abuse dogs, you deserve to be executed. And not only do you deserve to be executed, but you deserve to be executed in a very painful way. See, I am not that nice when it comes to exacting retribution. I actually believe not in an
Peter supports capital punishment.
Oh, absolutely, I do. 100%. In fact, I support firing squad. I support the quickest, easiest way.
So unbelievably primitive minded.
No, but firing squad is the easiest way to do it because it's the cheapest and it's the most effective, and they will feel it for at least a few moments before they finally leave this earth. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with that.
All right. On that note, I'm excited to announce that we will be having finally Alex Karp on, the author of Propaganda, and I will be doing a segment in our Mission Abolition series on May the 4th be with you. But thank you for talking about executions.
Any of you guys out there who already have it out for Jen, you're going to definitely not like this segment at all. So
I don't care. I don't care. Jimmy crack corn.
Oh, Lord. Colin, what is going on here, baby? We need the story of the dogs, of the abuse.
He says he only has a clip. There looks like there's a clip there.
Okay. Oh, he said he only has a clip. All right.
Yeah.
So I may have to throw the story over, but here is this very, very disturbing clip. Brace yourselves. I don't like it any more than anybody else does, but here we go.
يعني ما كانش هو عبارة عن معتقل أو سجن سيدة إيمان، لا، كان سيدة إيمان للانتقام. أقول لك على أصعب موقف أنا عشته في سجن سيدة إيمان، اعتقل سيدة إيمان. نادوا على أسماء 3 أشخاص، كان اسمي من بين ال3 أسماء هذول. طلعنا مساحة إسمنتية مخصصة لنوع واحد من نوع التعذيب، بس نوع واحد من نوع التعذيب. فكوا عينينا قاعدين على ركبنا. اجوا اخذوا شاب كان موجود، اخذوه ضربوه. بعد ما ضربونا يموه على الارض على بطنه، ربطوا ايديه وربطوا رجليه. واقفين تقريبا 9 جنود او 8 جنود كانوا موقفين. الا فجأة جردوه من ملابسه السفلية. اجا كابتن كان موجود، اجا زي وضع مادة، اشي حاجة، اشي يعني على مؤخرة الشاب، واطلقوا. كان في كلب موجود، اطلقوا عليه الكلب. الكلب هذا يعني كيف
They take pleasure in this. And you know the biggest reason that they would do this to somebody and that they would do this to a dog? Because they thought it was funny.
No, that's not why. First of all, they didn't consider the dog at all. That's the reality. Not even a little bit. And as far as why they do it, it's because they are very small people and they need to demean and dehumanize the people that they're threatened by. And that's what they're doing. Now, as far as the dog thing, I still, for the life of me, do not understand how you can necessarily force that to work.
Well, according to this gentleman, I guess he sprayed some type of a pheromone onto the anus of the guy.
This is so ridiculously horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, they sprayed female dog hormones.
Yeah, well, that's what I said.
Gross.
Sickening.
أقول لك مش مارس الجنس، اغتصب الشاب، اغتصبه في معنى الكلمة، اغتصاب تام.
And again, we would be limited with what we can and can't do, regardless of whether or not we were conscripted to this nation. But we are. And as a result, we are not only bearing witness, but bearing responsibility for this activity. You know, one of the things that I pointed out when we were on the Hill is that the Israelis always have their little minions running the hallways, knocking down the doors of the federal representatives. And you seldom see the people that are supporting Palestine doing the same, or in many cases are getting arrested. You never see.
Well, I wore a keffiyeh all through there.
Yeah.
And I did not see another. That's true. So yeah.
If you know, again, I understand that not everybody could get to the nation's capital, but at some point you have to recognize that this is where the change is going to happen. You have to have a presence on the Hill. You have to have it at all times.
I don't agree with that, though. See, this is where we don't agree. I don't think it makes one bit of difference what you do on the Hill. I think that's just theater for entertainment purposes. And the entire existence of the Capitol is just like Biff's Back to the Future. And it's just silly. And nothing is going to come from that shithole.
Well, I told you, the one thing that really stood out to me is that, I mean, again, I couldn't ask everybody what they were doing there. But it's pretty obvious that corporate lobbying is the order of the day on Capitol Hill. That's what they're there to do. And no one's asking questions in terms of how the money's being made, really. In reality, they'll make it however way they can. That's why people invest in Palantir. But this story is exceptionally disturbing, and this is a little bit more information from Owen Jones Battle Lines.
More information, and I do like Owen Jones a lot, but yeah.
Israel is raping Palestinians. Israel is raping Palestinians with dogs. There are no limits to the depravity. No, there isn't.
No.
There is overwhelming evidence that the Israeli military is raping Palestinian detainees with dogs. We don't just have repeated testimonies from Palestinians, but that's of Israeli soldiers too. Last week, Euromed Monitor, an NGO based in Geneva, released a report headlined "Another Genocide Behind Walls: Sexual Violence in Israel Prisons and Detention Centers and Engineered Impunity." They carry the testimony of 35-year-old Amir, who was detained by the Israeli army in the notorious, how do you say it, Jen?
Oh, I didn't know either. I think it's Max Blumenthal says it right. Say Timon. I don't know. I don't know how you do the STE. I don't know what that is.
Timon detention camp. He testifies the following: I was detained in Timon. He took a group of detainees and me to a corridor between the sections and forced us to strip completely naked. Soldiers brought in several dogs. One of them urinated on me. One of the dogs then raped me, penetrated my anus in a trained manner while I was being beaten. This continued for several minutes. I felt profoundly humiliated and violated. Then they report the testimony of another 35-year-old Palestinian former detainee in the same camp, who says the following: we heard dogs barking in the area. Time to time, the dogs would urinate on us while we were detained in the metal cages. The shock came when they forced me to lie down, and a dog climbed on top of me and tried to insert its penis into me. At first, I did not understand what was happening, but then I realized that I was being raped. I was completely naked with no clothes on. I felt the dog's fluids on my body. I tried to resist, but I was handcuffed. And the space was so small that I could not move. Two of them were holding me down tightly. This went on for 3 to 4 minutes. And let me assure you, 3 to 4 minutes of being ass raped probably feels like a lifetime. Last November, another NGO, Palestinian Center for Human Rights, also released a report carrying the testimonies of systemic rape and sexual torture in Israeli detention against released Palestinian detainees. They detailed the case of a Palestinian man named AA, who reports being tortured during 19 months of his detention, including forced stripping, obscene insults, threats of rape against him and his family, culminating in his rape by a trained dog inside the said
ST, just say ST. Just say ST. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, we can't pronounce that.
Said I was moved to a section I didn't know inside said Yemen during the first few weeks. Amid repeated suppression operations, I was taken with a group of detainees in a degrading manner to a place far from the cameras. Passage between sections. We were stripped completely. Soldiers brought dogs that climbed on us and urinated on me. And one of the dogs raped me. The dog did it deliberately, knowing exactly what I was doing, and it inserted its penis into my anus while the soldiers kept beating and torturing us and spraying pepper spray in our faces. The dog's assault lasted about 3 minutes. The overall suppression lasted about 3 hours. Because of the severe beating, all of us sustained injuries across our bodies. I sustained a severe psychological breakdown and deep humiliation. I lost control because I could never have imagined experiencing such a thing. Afterward, a doctor stitched a wound on my head caused by the torture, 7 stitches without anesthesia. I also suffered bruises, fractures in my limbs, and a rib fracture.
Yeah, for the guys who are giving me information about Owen Jones, I appreciate it. I have only known of his podcast or his show post October 7th. So I only really know his commentary since then. So, but I appreciate the info.
Keep scrolling, Colin. In another article published by the New Arab in 2024, a detainee is interviewed. Yes, one day after your visit, a group of soldiers came with dogs. They came to where we were. They selected prisoners at random from every age group, children, young men, and old men. They made them lie on the ground, face down, their hands tied behind their heads. They made the dogs attack them, tearing at the skin and flesh of the prisoners. Then they stood them up and put them in a corner where there was a big iron window. They put the prisoners' hands on the window and began beating them on their backs, their buttocks, and their legs from behind. Then they set the dogs on them again. And then one of the soldiers tried to get one of the dogs to rape one of the prisoners. They teach their dogs to have sex with prisoners. Can you imagine?
No, I really can't. Well, yeah, now I can, thanks to this, and not just this story now, this whole experience over the past few years. Yes, now I can imagine that. Before a few years ago, I don't know. I don't know that I could imagine that. But thanks to the psychosis of some people, I can imagine all sorts of sick shit now. Thank you for that.
As we said, there is no coming back from this. There is no forgiveness. There is no forgetting. We are simply going to make it our mission in life to make sure that your nation is no longer in control or in conjunction with our State Department, as it is our country. That is our fight. And while there are other issues that certainly matter, and we will continue to fight for them, this is the issue of our time. This is the nation that determines our foreign policy. They always have. They have assassinated a president. They have started several wars. They have killed our soldiers. There has been no justice for the USS Liberty, among many other attacks. We have been drawn in to so many endless wars and conflicts as a result of their actions. More than ever, I am convinced that they are responsible for 9/11. There really is something to be said for how far they're now willing to go, because they know that they don't have the same control that they once did. So we are at the mercy, in many ways, of how much more we're willing to take before we decide we've had enough. And make no mistake, the abuse of dogs, you should be hung. You should be castrated and hung. And if I could do it, look in my eyes when I say this, I would do it. And I would not hesitate. I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to remove people. But those people, if I had no other choice, I would do it.
Many. I'll tell you what, my guess would be that the dog rape thing has been going on as far back as anyone who's been able to get a dog to do that. Now, if this is something where it's facilitated by hormones or pheromones, whatever, dog pheromones, I'm sure they have facilitated it. But now that I know this, I'm going to say it's been going on forever, because this is something that now I can see is this depraved man mindset. And by man, I don't mean actually males. I mean like humans. But yeah, to come up with something like that. Yeah, that never, no, that wasn't on my bingo card. But, then again, neither was a second Holocaust in my lifetime. So there you go.
One of the primary reasons that I think a lot of people have also woken up on the state side when it comes to these endless wars is because we do know for certain the country and the State Department as a whole only cares about you when it comes to getting you into the military. Getting out of the military is a whole other story. And the level of concern for our veterans, it doesn't exist. Trump is not unique in this regard, but I get the feeling that he just doesn't care one way or the other.
Did you get Colin this piece? Because I had asked him about if he had that article. Are you talking about the foreclosures, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. And I wasn't sure what the article was. I just know that you had sent me a something.
Colin, do you have the story about the veteran foreclosures?
I'm going to see
It's like
if
I got to dig it up.
No, I'm going to see if I have it.
I'm pretty sure you do.
Well, because I said to you, we need to cover this when you sent it to me. Okay, yeah. Yeah, here it is. But I don't know. I think what you sent me was just a screenshot. You just sent me a screenshot. So that's why I don't have the article. It's about the foreclosures. It's, yeah. The 10,000 vets foreclosed. Okay, so I never did have the story, so I'm not losing my mind.
I got it.
Okay.
Hang on one second.
So point being that, and we've talked about this always. I don't think we've ever existed as a channel and not talked about how for a country so eager to create veterans, we take really shitty care of them. And and this has been a problem. I've known about this for years, at least since my Indiana days and Jason having a rotation at the VA and realizing what that was like. We do not take care of our veterans at all. And you know that because have you all heard of the Wounded Warrior Program? Has everyone heard of that? Yeah.
Is that a scam?
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. No, I think it looks like a decent organization. If somebody knows otherwise, my point is that the fact that that organization exists is a testament to that we have failed our veterans. That's my point. Just like the fact that there's a Doctors Against Genocide exists is an indication that we have failed as a species. Because if we haven't, then those things wouldn't exist. We wouldn't need a Wounded Warriors Project, would we? So
Trump's VA killed the home loan program. Vets are now losing their homes because of it. Jen, if you would.
More than 10,000 veterans lost their homes to foreclosure since May of last year, when the Trump administration shut down a key safety net in the VA home loan program, according to the latest industry data. That is the highest pace of foreclosures for VA loans in a decade. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, TPS. I am so sorry to hear that. Another 90,000 vets are heading towards foreclosure. This comes after a years-long debacle inside the Department of VA has whiplashed thousands of vets between various enacted and canceled programs and left many of them on the brink of losing their homes, often through no fault of their own. Somebody's profiting off of our vets, huh? A loan backed by the VA is considered one of the most valuable benefits for military service members and has helped millions achieve homeownership. But for nearly a year now, vets have had worse protections and options than most other homeowners if they fall behind. We should have something in place to try to stem people from losing their homes, said Steve Sharp, an attorney with the nonprofit National Consumer Law Center. Again, another thing that wouldn't need to exist if we weren't trying to fuck our people, but okay. The Trump administration was warned that this would happen. The roots of the crisis go back to a mistake during the Biden administration when the VA abruptly shut down a pandemic assistance program while thousands of vets were still in the middle of it. Struggling homeowners who used the program to skip some mortgage payments suddenly had to pay those payments back all at once, an unaffordable burden for many of them. After an NPR investigation exposed the problem, the VA halted foreclosures for a year while it rolled out a fix. Okay, well, they're trying to fix this. So, yeah, where's this article from? Let's give that proper quoting. Peter, did you say where this is from?
It is
NPR. It's NPR. Again, when we use these, it's usually the best synopsis of the story that we want to show. It's not because we are taking this as the be all end all resource. You know what I mean? Plus, regarding this, it seems fairly decent. Republicans in Congress. Yeah, see, that's how you know it's NPR. They're going to blame the Republicans. Republicans in Congress, so citing costs, wanted to kill that fix and replace it with something else. But last spring, the mortgage industry warned that shutting down the program without first replacing it would be a disaster. Foreclosure, period. That's really what it's going to come to, warned Elizabeth Balse, representing the Mortgage Bankers Association at a hearing in March of 2025 before the House Committee on Veterans Affairs. Less than 2 months later, the Trump administration shut down the rescue program anyway. Of course they did. Since then, and they're so wondering why enlistment is down, why people aren't running to sign up to go fight. Since then, more than 10,000 veterans have lost their homes. That's in a year. 10,000 veterans have lost their homes through foreclosure sales, according to ICE Mortgage Tech, which tracks such data. It is unclear how many of those veterans could have avoided foreclosure through the rescue plan called VASP, or VA Servicing Purchase Program. But mortgage industry insiders told NPR it's clear that some of those vets had enough disability pay or other income and would have been able to keep their homes had VA not shut down VASP with no warning. VA officials did not respond to NPR's questions about why the agency shut down VASP without first replacing it with anything else. Well, we could tell you why. I could tell you why. They weren't able to determine a alternative that would profit the right people in a fast enough amount of time. And so they didn't come up with an alternative, because any alternative would have been a profit situation. So as soon as they come up with the right for-profit system that can really screw over veterans, like some sort of, I don't know, VA payday lender situation, then they'll have an alternative. They weren't able to properly fuck us. That's why.
Again, when it comes to the differences between the two parties, the margins are what they are. But if there is a clear-cut difference, you look at the foreclosures when Trump was in office versus when Biden was in office, and now when Trump is in office again.
Tomato.
This is pretty clear, though. I mean, it's both bad, but it's much worse with Trump.
Yeah.
Because they lie.
They're more brutal.
Yes.
They're more brutal. They don't soften the blow.
No.
They don't pad your fall with anything. They don't even hand you the umbrella. They just pee on you, right? I mean, and that's really what it is.
No, they tell you it's
but
raining.
The trajectory of veteran treatment has been shit since there's been veteran treatment.
Agreed. Keep going.
Scroll.
Colin.
That might be the end.
No. Meanwhile, 90,000 more vets are currently behind on their mortgages or in the foreclosure process. VA now says it's coming out with a new program that could help many of those vets, but it still won't be up and running for months. Of course not. Housing and industry groups warn that the new program, when it is finally operational, could still leave those vets with worse options than other homeowners and push their monthly payments up by hundreds of dollars a month. Buying a house brought stability. For Leanne Ledford, one of the hardest things right now is that she's been here before and fought her way out. When you lose your home, your house, nothing else matters. Ledford's husband is a Marine who was hurt in Afghanistan. He has PTSD and a brain injury. It took a long time to get through the VA's red tape to approve his disability pay, and in the meantime, his condition got so bad he couldn't work. Nice country. At first, we didn't know whether it was a stroke or a seizure or what was going on. She had to stop working to care for her husband, and then they couldn't afford rent. The couple ended up living out of a trailer hitched to their truck with their young son for 6 months while they waited for his disability paperwork to go through. But then they got back on their feet. They even bought a house in January of 21 with a loan backed by the VA. That's just what the VA loan is supposed to be, a life-changing benefit to give veterans a leg up into the middle class and home ownership. The house is right across the street from the neighborhood's public school. So our son started at the elementary school, which Ledford said has been a huge relief. Since my husband hasn't been able to drive, I have to manage everything. While she and her husband's stress levels fell, his symptoms improved. Isn't that amazing how much stress can be an underrated killer? And their son has had a stable home. He's been able to live over half his life in our house now, and he doesn't remember all the bad years because he was too little. But just a year after they bought their house, a cascade of actions by the Department of VA entangled them and thousands of others in a years-long ordeal when they weren't permitted to pay their mortgage. That's now pushed them into foreclosure and the brink of eviction. We didn't know that the foreclosure sale went through until somebody knocked on our front door. Bait and switch by the VA. For the Ledfords, this all started back in 22 when they had to replace their furnace and were hit with other costly home repairs. Their lender, Freedom Mortgage, yes, some freedom.
I was going to say, that's wait. Think about that for a second. That phrase together, that name, Freedom Mortgage. If you have a mortgage, you're not free. That is the dumbest thing.
It's again, you gotta understand. It's about freedom. It's freedom is a state of mind.
To me, literally, you literally do not have freedom when you have a mortgage.
Definitely not. For the Ledfords, this all started back in 22 and replaced Freedom Mortgage. Told them they could get help from what was called a mortgage forbearance. The COVID era program would let them pause making payments.
How generous.
She says Freedom told her the skipped payments would then be moved to the back of her loan term to be paid later when they refied or sold the house. In the wake of the pandemic, millions of Americans with other types of federally backed mortgages took advantage of such forbearance programs. But then, in October of 22, the Biden administration shut down a key part of the VA's forbearance program that had enabled them to skip the payments to be deferred. As a result, tens of thousands of veterans like the Ledfords were told they suddenly needed to pay that year's worth of payments in a lump sum. And we're like, wait a minute, what?
I want to be clear about this because, and this is the attorney in me where I feel like I have to clarify this. Because there are people that will say things like, well, that was the loan they agreed to. That's the risk of that loan, like that they signed that and they agreed to that. Same thing with payday lenders, that people agreed to that. They didn't read it. They didn't read the contract. They should have read the contract. And I agree, right? Like they should have read the contract. But the fact is, the majority of these contracts shouldn't exist based on they're unconscionable. They're unconscionable. And what that means in contract language, in law language, is that it's just fucked. It's just wrong. It's predatory. And if a lot of these types of contracts actually went to court, made it to court, they very well might be found to be predatory. And that would be a problem. So when people want to question like why you would sign this loan, it's generally people that don't have other solutions. They don't have other options. They are that desperate. And this is the position that they're in. Okay. So this is somebody taking advantage of that. And even though people sign it because there's no better options, doesn't mean it's not an unconscionable contract. Okay. So that's where we are.
That would have been tens of thousands of dollars, which they and most veterans of the program couldn't afford. Or they would have to accept a refi loan at the current, much higher interest rate. Rates had sharply risen from 3 to 7%. And that new loan would have raised the Ledfords' payment about $1,000 a month. They couldn't afford either option. After NPR reported in late 23 that 40,000 vets like the Ledfords had been trapped this way with no affordable way to get current on their loans, the VA halted foreclosures across the country for a year while it rolled out a rescue program. Once it was finally up and running by early 25, the VA's rescue program, VASP, was starting to save large numbers of vets and their families from foreclosure. It gave more than 33,000 vets who were behind on their payments, new low-cost mortgages with an interest rate of 2.5. See, that's the thing about a VA loan. The interest rates are supposed to be capped and kept low so they can afford it. You give to your country, the country's supposed to give back. But we all know that's not the case. But only months after VASP was fully functional and helped vets on that scale, the Trump administration had taken office and killed it. On May 1st of 2025, amid fear of the potential costs, the VA abruptly did away with the safety net, giving mortgage servicers, and even its own VA staff just 1 week's notice. Vets who were already enrolled would keep those low-cost affordable loans, but the door was slammed shut for any more vets. The Ledfords and other vets who needed the help hadn't managed to get enrolled yet. I found out that VEST was ending, and I called the VA loan technician, and they didn't even know it, and they didn't even know yet. They had to figure out what was going on. Mortgage companies told NPR.
I know we're wrapping. Tell Lila and Pat we're wrapping. Okay.
To enroll as many. No, we've got one more to cover after this.
What? No, we don't.
Yes, we do. As many vets as they could, but the abrupt closure of the program caught them off guard. How much more does this have, Colin?
I don't have anything else on my list.
That's too much. Yeah, it's too much.
I don't have anything else on my list. So
I have one more. The point of this story, which again brings everything full circle, is that if you sign up to serve this country, you will never be appreciated, treated with dignity and respect that you so rightly deserve. And again, not everybody who joins the military goes to serve in combat. Frankly, it's not a very big percentage. Obviously, that's going to grow exponentially because of all the problems we're having. But needless to say, this is where we are, and it's only going to get worse. Fine. You want to stop? We'll stop. I don't even care.
Well, it's the end. It's 9:30. It's our time. So yes.
I'll save it for Saturday.
There you go. Perfect.
So we appreciate any and all that support our efforts to bring these stories forward. It's not easy. And frankly, it can be very trying at times when you read about dogs raping innocent people. You realize that there is a feeling of hopelessness that seeps in for many, and I get it. But we are going to continue to fight the fight that we need to fight because somebody has to do it, and that's why we're here.
Can I give a shout out to Layla Jane? Layla Jane is a new $25 patron, and I had not been able to put it in the banner, so that's what I was looking for.
Also want to let you guys know, I will be speaking with Dave Benner of the Liberty Vault on Saturday night. So you're going to want to tune in for that. Got a number of key stories to talk about there, including Tucker Carlson's apology and how some people are reacting to that. You got to take whatever you can, wherever you can right now, because the goal is to end the Zio state. And there are going to be people, heck, Marjorie Taylor Greene. See some of the stuff she's been putting out? Marjorie Taylor Greene is sounding like a revolutionary. We would love to get her on. That would be an interesting conversation.
I might be able to do that. I live here now. I might be able to. I might know some people. I might know some people in my new neighborhood that might know some people.
I heard things. I
don't know. Small towns.
Citizen Pendejo with the 50 pesos. One, either we free Palestine or we root for God to bring the dinosaurs back to life. Or two, why don't Zios move instead? A lot of real estate north of Winnipeg. Hey, I would banish them to Siberia. Absolutely. That is what should happen. Melissa Miners with the $2. Thank you for checking in. And if we could not end on a higher note, we certainly will here. Duly noted with the $50 super chat, putting a Gaudi golden Jesus statue back in place of the one decapitated by an IDF soldier is a microcosm of the mentality, what they want to do with Gaza on top of all they had murdered. They want us to forget the truth of their actions and thoughts. Yes.
And here's the thing, if we were going to have an additional story, I would prefer this one. So this is them destroying the Jesus statue is so telling.
Do you
It's
want to
so-
cover it real quick?
No, I want to wrap and we're not covering the Jesus story. We're not covering that right now.
Yeah, well, you don't fuck with the Jesus, Jen.
Don't fuck with the Jesus. No, I love the Jesus.
Well, then make sure to tune in for Saturday, my friend. So smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do. We love you all. We appreciate you all. I will see you Saturday with Dave Benner of Liberty Vault.
I don't even know who that is, but free Palestine.
Good night, guys.